catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
It has turned into a very pleasant afternoon here in London. Hopefully we stay dry. Hopefully we are on the verge of a classic. The United States and Canada, long rivals in the realm of Ultimate, meet to decide who will join Japan on Championship Saturday in the men's division here at the World Ultimate and Guts Championships in 2016. Hi again, everybody. Delighted to have you with us from all around the world as the United States and Canada collide for the first time in the tournament. The United States is the lone undefeated team in the men's division. Alex Guesquier's squad has sliced through its opponents. Canada's lone loss came against Japan in the power pool, but the Canadians have rebounded, advancing past Germany in their quarterfinal to advance to this stage. Evan Lepler with Brian Jones. The Canadian roster, led by Scott Hasty, has a bunch of stars, but Mark Lloyd showed some special moments in the quarterfinal game to help Canada get to the semis.
He's been playing on the defensive line instead of his typical position of offense, but really it was Cam Harris who stole the show with an incredible layout grab that put the momentum Canada's way and pushed them into the semifinal game against the U.S. Canada's actually won 2 out of the last 3, 2004 and 2008 World Championships, with the U.S. taking the last one, 2012 in Sakai.
And Coach Guesquier has certainly mentioned that to his team. Too many stars to focus on just one. Ashlyn Joy, the primary center handler in the offensive line, although he's versatile. And it's been the swing line, Brian, not the offense or the defense, but this third line that has really been a group of difference makers throughout the week, with players like Alan Kolick, Peter Pryl, Tom Doy, and others making their impacts and presence felt.
They've played with that truck stop contingent, a lot of chemistry on that line. It can be used either way. They call it the swing line because if there's a break, they'll go out in the field. If their offense needs a rest, they'll also go out in the field and work together as distinct units. So that way you're not trying to get chemistry with all 21 players that you haven't played with before, just your grouping of 7. And as we said, those guys have played together. Doy, Pryl, and Kolick have played together before. Here to start the game, it looks like it's going to be the defensive line out in the field. Matt Rader, Dylan Freechild, Farrell, Gibson, Nathan White, Trent Dillon, and Russell Wynn out on the field for the U.S. While we get set here for the opening poll, on the other hand, we're going to take a look at the Canadian offensive line on the other side of the field. Of course, Isaiah Massakelly. He's been a big contributor. Carl Lasso, Jeff Lindquist, Thompson McKnight, Cam Harris, Tim Sang, and then Andre Galitz coming over from Furious George.
These two teams certainly very familiar with one another. They met in the championship game in Colombia at TEP in Medellin about 6 weeks ago. It went down to the wire with USA winning it on Universe.
Scott Hasty saying before the game that he likes the position we're in, like playing the underdog role to this USA team. A lot of debate whether this is the best team ever on the field in the men's division.
USA down covering the pull. We'll see the matchups. It's Wynn on McKnight. Farrell chasing Loiseau. Great atmosphere expected. Fans still filing into the showcase pitch. Nathan White on Cam Harris. That'll be a fun matchup to watch. It's Gibson chasing Sang.
Sang's played such a
Gibson gets a hand block and immediately emotes. Gibson will pick up the disc as the USA looks for the break.
I was about to sing the praises of Tim Sang, who's done so well in this Canadian offense, and Gibson does what he always does, getting the huge block.
And Freechild cannot keep it alive after the flick cross field sailed on him. You talk about harnessing emotion. Gibson's so excited after the hand block. He missed through the routine forehand. So a turnover per side on the game's first possession. Sang gets the flick upfield. Kelly launches the flick upfield. Galitz can't get there.
Galitz fully extending his body. Normally he's going to catch the disc in stride. Trent Dillon with the matchup downfield. Kelly feeling the pressure. Normally that's going to be a huck out to space. This one, as we take a look in the replay, to Blady.
A superhero bid from Galitz.
It's the type of effort it's going to take in this game to win it for either side.
Rader was bolting long. Gibson faked it, settles for the swing to Farrell. Dillon attacks the disc. The 2016 Callahan Award winner in the United States. Gibson from the back of his own end zone shoots it for Freechild, and he reads it well. Lindquist mistimed the jump. This is where Freechild is dangerous with his patented give and goes. But the stall count is rising. He lofts the reset. McKnight attacks, but Gibson possesses. And a stoppage. 4 game advisors overseeing this semifinal here in London. Gibson, the former college champ at Florida and former USA Ultimate Club champ. And there's Freechild connecting with Wynn, and USA believes he was in, and he was. That is an opening break for the United States.
Couldn't have started any better here for the United States. Not only do you get a hand block from Gibson, you're able to get a second block as a result of pressure, and really can't call the block a throwaway, but still forcing Canada to throw it deep into tight coverage. And from there, we'll take a look at a couple of replays here from the past point. Kirk Gibson, what a block. There's only a couple players in the game, and there's on both sides here. Gibson going deep for Freechild, and good read, bumps with Lindquist. There's only a couple players in the game that can really get those type of blocks consistently, and both of them actually are in this game. And that's Vasiliev on Canada and Gibson here on the U.S., really known for their ability to create gigantic plays.
Great crowd on hand, and it's interesting you say that. You really feel it's almost like a club of 2 at the elite level worldwide that specialize in that particular hand block?
I think for a lot of players, they're taught fundamentally that you're not trying to go for the hand block, and only a few guys can get them consistently, and they have a lot of range and they have a lot of quickness, and Gibson and Vasiliev are very good handler guards. Despite Gibson often playing a deep position, he excels at guarding the quicker guys as well.
Tyler DiGirolamo is cleated up and on the field for this defensive point for the USA. Out there with Kocher, Sefton, Kolick, Pryal, Stewart, and Stubbs. Underhill with a disc. Hits Carroll crossing the field. Launching long. Harris is there. Pull play executed to perfection. Canada has its equalizer early.
Andrew Carroll has been known across North America as a defensive standout. Normally he's seen getting chased down blocks or taking away the other team's best handler. Here he's been trusted with more responsibility. First cut here, Canada needs to put this one in the end zone to keep pace here with the U.S. And that's a nice way to build some confidence, a nice easy throw, and Cam Harris has been eating it all up throughout the week.
So an offensive hold for Canada. And the USA O-line will take the field. We've seen the D-line come up with a break. That swing line surrendered the hold. And Danny Karlinski, one of the captains of Team USA, alongside Jimmy Mickle, the 2014 Callahan Award winner. But the name that everyone's been talking about on the USA offense is not Bo Kittredge or Cassidy Rasmussen or Ashlyn Joy. It's their club teammate Joel Schlockett, who has been a goal-scoring machine for the United States throughout the tournament.
Looks like offsides has been called. And like you said, Evan, all those names on the offensive line, they have big brands in this game. None bigger than Bo Kittredge, but Schlockett, an incredible continuation receiver. it's hard to overstate how easy it makes it look. All of a sudden, he apparates in the end zone, he's wide open, and catches a lot of goals. Team USA actually going with team mustaches this week. Karlinski was egging on a few of the teammates, especially Henry Conker, saying you need to shave off the beard, and I don't think Conker actually did. Conker worried about how long it was going to take to grow the hair back.
Well, sometimes winning gold medals is not about making fashion statements, and that appears to be the case for USA. Schlockett leading USA with 17 goals scored. Tom Doy is second on the team with 10. No one else has more than 8.
Downfield matchup of Rasmussen and Carroll, something to really watch throughout this game.
There's Schlockett marked by Yearwood. Helton. Jonathan Goose Helton put so much into training for the national team. He had not played at the highest level through his college career, Wheaton College in Illinois. It was really the early days of the AUDL where he began to make a name for himself. Rasmussen's throw sails over Kittredge, but Helton sneaks in there, and it was Martin dislodging it. And I don't believe he'll contest the strip call. But for Helton, in his early 30s, he knew that this might be his last chance to represent his country, and he has given his all to be a part of this team.
So many players went through the tryout process, 100, and a lot of them showing up at East Coast and West Coast. Just an honor to be part of that process for a lot of them. A lot of sadness as that weekend ended in Orlando. I got to attend on the East Coast.
Mickle back to Kittredge. Gets it to Schlockett, who pivots. Nowhere to go in the end zone. Back to Kittredge. To Schlockett. Bo Kittredge going every other down the stretch. And Schlockett's 18th goal of the week.
Tough break for Team Canada as they get the throw they wanted. It pops up over the intended receiver, but Helton is there to bring it in. Schlockett, so good at continuation cutting, and Kittredge likes the matchup he has with Morgan Hibbert, decides to stay in the backfield and run the offense. Actually, there you saw a little bit of arguing between Mickle and Kittredge in the middle of the point, trying to figure out where Kittredge should actually cut to. Looked like Mickle wanting for the inside break lane, and Kittredge just wanted the disc.
Third member of our broadcast team is down on the field. Let's check in with Megan Molteni.
Hey guys, I was down here talking to Danny Karlinski earlier, who was on that O-line for the American squad, asking them how they felt about meeting Canada in the semifinals. And he said he was pretty happy about it. You know, they knew they were going to have to go through them at some point in the tournament. And meeting them here in semis, Canada, all nerves, you know, maybe worried about dropping this game, not making it to finals, and America, all loose on these sidelines. Guys are smiling, they're joking, and compared to the Canadian sidelines, things seem a little bit more tense for the men in white.
Well, they certainly get off to a good start, which allows them to be a little looser. Thanks so much, Megan. Mark Lloyd will handle this point for Canada against a junky look from USA.
Looks like a quick flash of a 2-3-2 and then a transition to man.
This is Nathan Hurst, who has made some great plays throughout the weekend. Mark Lloyd saying after the quarterfinal that every day they sit around, talk about the previous day's games, and they just can't stop talking about all the good plays that Hurst has made. Lloyd airs it out. Somehow Tejpar became all alone. Rumi Tejpar hits Greg Ellis for a simple Canadian score.
Great job finding the open receiver deep, and this is what happens when you try to employ switchy help defenses. Sometimes it's going to look really bad, and clearly there was a blown switch somewhere in there. So take a look. To a certain point, Lloyd just says, this is too good to pass up. Tejpar goes, streaks down the sideline, and after that, Ellis, no one defending him either. You talk about Nathan Hurst, they got the chance before the game to talk to Canadian Masters player Phil Watanabe, saying how for just a couple of years ago, Hurst appeared at AUDL tryouts, and he was even younger than he was now, baby face, and they just said he was ready to go. Catching passes already over everybody else. Great quickness, great explosive ability.
Peter Pryall trying to fire up his troops. USA and Canada 2-all. A break advantage though for the Americans. And the offensive line includes Josh Marquette, his first point of the game, with Mikkel, Kittredge, Rasmussen, Joy, Helton, and Schlockett. Marquette, a veteran, played in Atlanta, grew up as a Paideia product, and then has obviously been a mainstay of Boston in the Northeast for several years. Rasmussen shoots it. Mikkel gets there. Hibbert into the legs of Mikkel. It was an unfortunate collision. Fortunately, though, both are all right. And Mikkel shows off his youthfulness against the veteran Morgan Hibbert.
Mikkel's a big target out there, and that's what makes him so strong. It's one of those things where even if you get close as a defender, he can use the big frame to box people out. He does so with such aggressiveness to the disc. Take a look here, Rasmussen doesn't really hesitate. Kind of saw that in the last game. Matsuno going deep. This time, Rasmussen putting it up. Pretty good option there when you have Jimmy Mikkel streaking deep.
Well, there's a fine line between taking chances and playing conservative. In their quarterfinal win against Colombia, Jimmy Mikkel and the United States only had one turnover as a team, and it wasn't like they were playing super conservative because they had to make several spectacular layout grabs in the end zone. And the amazing thing about this team and watching them throughout the week is how they have repeatedly made the amazing seem routine.
We've gotten the chance to watch a lot of games, and I think even though they've been blowouts, it's been fun to just sit in the sideline. Of course, we are American, and we're here at an international broadcast. And it's been fun to see all the rest of the teams, too. We just saw Japan put on a clinic against Australia.
It
be
was
exciting
incredible.
Exciting game coming up for whoever moves on after this.
Japan was down 6-4 in the first semifinal and closed on an 11-3 run to win it 15-9, eliminating the Aussies from gold medal contention. They still are alive for the bronze, a game that none of these two teams would like to participate in. Ochterlony to Galitz. Pryal on the aggressive mark. And there was a stoppage downfield, perhaps a couple throws ago.
Field really muddy in the middle, especially down on this end where the Canadians are trying to attack. A lot of cutters slipping and falling, defenders getting out of position pretty quickly.
Well, this field was as nice as any field you could ever imagine when this tournament started on Sunday. It's natural to expect some wear and tear, but no one expected the amount of rainfall that we have seen over the past 72 hours. Tuesday was basically a washout, and then Thursday as well experienced several deluges from up above. Sang struggling to get his footing. Kocher on the mark. McKnight. Underhill. McKnight with Sefton nearby, flips it for Underhill. Oh, Underhill just throws up a 50-50, and several Americans were there. Kolick secured possession. John Stubbs, a late addition to Team USA. The pass slips through Kolick's fingers. Stubbs added to the USA roster when Bo Kittredge suffered a knee injury. There was a joke that Stubbs basically was Bo's new MCL after his incredible performance at college nationals. It's easy to see why he got the nod. Well-timed poach there from Sefton, but recognition from Underhill. McKnight's nice grab leads to the easy score to Harris.
Great patience by the Canadians after the fact. They got into a precarious situation, had to throw one up and then get the disc back on an error. It's going to be a battle throughout this game, and you can see that every team, every member is fighting for just those inches to get it to the end zone.
Cam Harris out of the University of Guelph in Toronto. He had the easy score, but it was McKnight making the athletic catch on the swing to keep it alive. Well, Plenty of USA fans here. There has been nothing but success for the United States. Already gold medals in women's masters and men's masters. Both victories, in fact, against the Canadians. But in the other divisions, mixed and women's, it will not be USA-Canada in the finals, nor in men's for that matter. That comes in the semis in the men's bracket. USA-Australia in mixed. USA and Colombia in women's. So it's Joy, Marquette, Mickle, Helton, Karlinski, Schlockett, and the dynamic Bo Kittredge, who has made an incredible recovery from a knee injury suffered in an AUDL game in Charlotte on May the 1st. It was late in the game. He had an awkward collision as Joy looks for Mickle. He's got Hibbert deep, and it's a one-throw strike from Ashlyn Joy.
The Canadians preferring to go with the one-on-one matchup downfield instead of help deep. And Hibbert slips on the mud, and that's all it's going to take. Joy, he's got to be the best hooker in the world, bar none. He finds a way to put it deep every single time, and usually against straight-up marks. You know it's coming, and some way or another he puts it deep. Such a big, deep thrower for them. He makes it look easy. Take a look here on the replay, and here Hibbert's going to slip, and after that, Joy sees it. Despite the outstretched arms of the mark, able to curve it around the defense and deliver it for the goal.
So Joy to Mickle. Makes it 4-3, USA up a break. There's Kurt Gibson and Henry Conker getting ready to defend. By the way, Bo Kittredge has become Masters eligible. Of course, he was heading into the week, but Bo's celebrating his 34th birthday this week here in London. How many more years do you think Bo can remain at the top of his game and continue to be the presence he has been for the last decade?
I think with his work ethic, he really has a long time left. He could be playing into his 40s and still having an impact. It's hard to say because he just puts so much into it.
USA switching and matching up down the field. Wynn and Lindquist got tangled. Farrell on McKnight, ahead for Massac Kelly. This Raider Massac Kelly matchup, one to keep an eye on. Could say the same about Freechild and Lindquist. That Raider running toward that front cone, the same end zone where he had one of the most spectacular plays of the tournament. The layout, Callahan against Japan the other day, and Canada showing smooth offense, finding Galitz, who has been very reliable all weekend long for Scott Hasty's team.
One of the incredible things about the Canadian offense is their ability to use the break side, and you see that year in and year out from Toronto Goat. They like the disc over there. They have a plethora of inside breaks that gets the disc off, and after that, here's what we see. You get the disc to the break side, and it over pursue, leaves Trent Dillon on the wrong side. Galitz comes free, scoring the goal with a sliding grab.
Now, both these teams had interesting preparation processes for the tournament. For Bo, it was obviously different because he was rehabbing his injury. Team Canada had a very quiet, very quietly, I should say, that the entire team went to Las Vegas at some point this winter to basically have a bonding weekend, because Brian, this is a team that comes from all across Canada. They've had several other training weekends as well. Some members of the Vancouver scene have spent considerable time in Toronto. Guys like Rumi Tejpar and Anatoly Vasilyev, who has been a back and forth between Toronto and Vancouver throughout the past 6 months, trying to build cohesiveness. And this is the game that they've been preparing for all along. Beating Germany in the quarters was dandy, but their tournament will be made or broken by this matchup with the USA.
Call on the field.
Kittredge and Lloyd have had some good battles before.
It's like a travel signal from Rubenberg on the sideline.
Confirming the travel. Presumably Bo will accept it. He's been known to drag a pivot foot from time to time. Kittredge bolting up the line. He had Lloyd chasing him, and Joy went with a swing for Karlinski. This section of the field, especially in the middle, going to the end zone left, it's tough to keep that pivot foot. Kittredge looks off Helton, resets to Joy. The around Marquette. Andrew Carroll's done a great job on Rasmussen so far, denying Cassidy a single touch. Jimmy Mickle, former college champ with Mama Bird, former club champ with Denver Johnny Bravo. Marquette breaks the mark, and Helton stays in the end zone, but it might have been a pick.
This is the area of field where Josh Marquette is so dangerous. As we'll take a look here as they discuss the call.
I think you didn't come. You saw what was coming. Didn't take off. Get this going. Let's talk.
No, I went. I just slowed down because they were in the way.
So let's go.
Decide which way to go around them.
It was
behind the other players. I couldn't see how far away.
Okay. All right.
The game advisor system has grown on me.
It's a great way to keep all of the calls in the players' hands, move things along with a resolution. It's been tough over the years.
There's a quick shot to the end zone. Jimmy Mickle receives the scoober from the man they call Cricket, Josh Marquette.
When you look at all of the handlers on Team USA on the offensive line, they were chosen for different reasons, even though on each of their teams they're often the primary target, primary centerpiece. Marquette has insane breakthrows. We just saw the creativeness there. So coined with a quick shot. Danny Karlinski is great at give and goes. Also in his own right, great with breakthrows, as we see here. Cricket, Marquette to Mickle. And then on the other side, we've already talked about Ashland Joy. He's a handler, but he's in a cutter's body. He's incredibly fast. You just don't see him downfield, but with the length that he has and the height, he's able to deliver hucks around marks with ease.
Who do you think would win a scuba off between Josh Marquette and Jeff Lindquist?
That's a tough one to tell. Lindquist loves to use them pretty much in any situation, and Marquette will really open up the field.
That'd be fun to watch, though, wouldn't it? Set up targets around the field. You got to throw scoobers to get it there.
I'd be a fan of that.
Ultimate's version of the three-point contest, perhaps. Let's set it up.
Old NFL skills competition during the Pro Bowl.
No one watched that, though. Three-point contest, on the other hand, still has some sizzle. So USA has its swing line out there playing defense. Nathan Hurst navigating through the USA zone. Josh Marquette with that last assist. He's the eldest member of Team USA. He's gone past his 35th birthday. I believe he's 36. Oh, it's a Callahan. John Stubbs steals the swing. USA with a spectacular goal.
The pressure from Team USA keeps mounting against the Canadians, and finally, you see these moments where it's an errant pass. Receiver was open, but Stubbs gets a hand on it, reads the play correctly. Sensational play.
Oh, Stubbs, a late addition to USA, certainly coming out of the shadow of perhaps not being the best player in his family. His older brother George, a Callahan Award winner. Plays like this make him a fantastic candidate for 2017. He still has a year left at the college ranks, playing for Harvard Redline. That's a moment he'll never forget, though, at his first World Championship at WUGC.
If you go to the score sheet, George does have the Callahan. Won it back in.
Well, now John has a Callahan, too.
different things, Evan. One's a trophy, one's a point, and you could argue that John has won this one at this point. John also making it a little bit farther with Harvard and to the championship game, and I'm sure George is watching from afar, very proud.
There's a third Stubbs sibling as well, India Stubbs, who's a fine women's player.
Zone here from the U.S., and they only try to stay in it for a few throws, but really gunking up the middle of the field. It's a four-man cup with defense coming around. This one changing it up might be a little bit of a trap with just a 3-3-1 instead. And this is the way that Rader got his Callahan against the Japanese.
This is the point where Canada really has to be careful.
What a throw through the middle by Lloyd.
Yes, indeed. And good disc movement, not allowing the stall to get too far. Rader on the mark of Massac Kelly. There's a scuba from Isaiah.
So tough to play defense.
Gibson over the shoulder of Lindquist, got there first. His second D of the half. What do you say?
I don't have anything to say. That's just incredible.
Gibson launches. Trent Dillon didn't even have to leave his feet. Lindquist was late running back to the play, and I think there's now a stoppage, a timeout call perhaps. USA on the doorstep of a 3-score lead.
That was incredible. I hope that we can get another look at Kurt Gibson's D.
Well, there's a lot of people that say Kurt Gibson is the best player in the world. And it's certainly a fun argument, but plays like this are good evidence to perhaps your argument.
I think Bo Kittredge still, when healthy, is maybe the most impactful player because there's not another physical specimen that can change the way the game is played. But all around wise, Kurt Gibson makes these creative plays as we can take a look here in the huddle for the U.S.
I'm going to give you a give and go option first to give you a break option.
Yeah, I'm going to go break side. If I don't get it, I'm clear back. Raiders
I'm going to come back to you.
looking for Raider.
Okay, you're 3. Russell, you're in the back, and you're going early. Wide to push the stack. What's the car?
So on me.
Hey, I'm on back corner hammer bail. Hey, if they're not giving me the up line, just throw it back. I'm not going to have enough time for you to go. If they're man, I'm just going to clear up line.
Okay, cool.
Here we go. Hey, score on 3. 1, 2, 3,
Score.
Push that stack back.
You're in the middle, right?
Yeah.
It's like having 7 fine chefs in the same kitchen. Everybody has to get their word in.
I think that could be actually a case of too many cooks, and there's no way any player actually remembered all 7 instructions from there. Farrell's calling for a hammer in the back of the end zone. Dillon's looking for the give and go. But you can tell that there's no set strategy here, and it's kind of made up on the fly for Team USA. And that's just a result of not having chemistry in these type of situations. You don't really go over dead discs at the end zone when you've only been a team for 3 weeks.
Everyone said Trent Dillon had such a great tryout. And he breaks the mark with ease to Gibson. Bookends for Kurt Gibson, and USA is within 1 of half.
It is so hard to play defense against Canada, Toronto, those clubs, because when you get them trapped in the sideline, they're able to put the scuba out in the space. But if you're Kurt Gibson, you can make plays like we just saw. And back to the argument of Bo versus Kurt. I think Bo has been so impactful that there's not anybody else like him. But Kurt is such a great all-around player. He can make incredible blocks. My first year watching club, he was able to come up with a sliding kick block D against Revolver in the club semifinals, and he does plays like this like it's routine when he's on defense. Just able to get up and have the length to get above Lindquist, and from there then deliver a falling down. Lindquist is bumping him, and Gibson still delivers a picture-perfect huck to Trent. It is a tough matchup here for anybody going up against the U.S., and you can see why the athletes, the skill from all of them, a lot of different options. Canada's offense needed to come in this game and pretty much be perfect for them to be in the game, and right now this 3-point lead could be growing in the wrong direction.
Well, the USA has gone on such incredible runs throughout the week. They were neck and neck with Australia through 10 points and then went on a 10-3 rally to win it. USA really broke free of Japan with a roar until Japan got back into the game. Alex Gesquier certainly used that sequence from the Japanese in the second half of the crossover as a lesson to be learned about keeping the foot on the gas and keeping that attack mentality. Nick Stewart getting ready to pull, accompanied by Stubbs, Sefton, Kolick, Kocher, Doy, and DiGirolamo. Important offensive point here for Canada. USA will receive to start the second half, so if Canada doesn't score here, it's going to take some magical halftime speech from somebody to swing things around. It's Carroll, Hurst, Underhill, McKnight, Galitz, Harris, and Masick Kelly for the Canadians.
McKnight playing it a little loose and finding the hole through the cup. Normally he's a very good thrower, but doesn't rely on his creativity to get the job done. Has to do a little bit more here in this game.
So far, so good. This offensive point for Canada. Canada turned it over twice in the first point. They eventually got broken when Freechild found Wynn. Since then, Canada's only turned it over twice. But those mistakes have been costly.
Here's where Canada can be so dangerous. They love the break side of the field, and you can kind of take a look here as we get zoomed out, some positioning here from the U.S. to try to counter that. Really inside between their man and the disc, giving the open side here.
Hurst a little too far out of the reach of McKnight. Alan Kolick will pick up for the United States. Youngster out of William and Mary University, where he blossomed into a star. Chris Kocher from Georgetown. Nick Stewart from Carleton. Stubbs. He sees Kolick, he launches for him. The versatile Kolick takes USA to half.
Stubbs, the last member of the team, perhaps having the biggest impact here in the first half. We saw him tear through college nationals, getting every other pass with his teammate Mark Vandenberg. The dynamic duo was good enough to take him to finals. And here he might be good enough to take USA to the World Championship final. So many weapons. Kolick's not known as a deep threat, but it doesn't matter. And all of these guys on Team Canada, they're great players in their own right that are being overwhelmed at this point in the game.
4 straight scores from USA to take it to half. Mickle, Stubbs, Gibson, and Kolick all finding the end zone. USA leads 8-4. And Canada with much work to do. Looks like Alex Gesquier's trying to reestablish focus, stressing that there is still much more ultimate to play, but in just over 36 minutes, USA has doubled up Team Canada. Hoping to have a quick conversation and get some perspective from down on the field. Japan awaits the winner. Kurt Gibson had 2 Ds and a score in the first half. Megan Molteni with Kurt Gibson.
Yeah, Kurt, so you started off that game really strong. You got the hand block to start. then you get the Dion Lindquist, then you score on the opposite side of the end zone. How do you feel about how that matchup is going? How do you feel about how your line is playing?
You know, all of us are doing a great job. We came in with a great game plan. Dutchy's got our guys just locked in order. We're all on the same page, and you know, it's at least in this first half, it's really proven well for us. So we're just looking to continue that in the second half.
And I see you guys on that flex line talking to each other after every point. Everyone has a voice on the sideline. What difference does it make to have that one-on-one team interaction between points when you haven't been teammates very long with a lot of these guys?
It's the most important thing, frankly. You've got a lot of guys that have never played with each other and have had limited weekends together. And so, you know, you've got a 7-day tournament here. You've got to take advantage of the opportunities that you have. And in this game is just one of them to continue getting better at communicating. And so I think the more vocal we are with each other, within lines and then without the other lines, is just really paying off.
How do you want to see you guys cranking it up in the second half?
We just got to keep the energy up. You know, we've been good in the first half, and we just got to keep it up in the second half.
All right, great. Thanks, Kurt. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Megan, thank you. It's a 7-day tournament. Team USA halfway through day 6, and they are looking as good as they have all week long. It's 8-4 at the half. USA leads Canada in the second men's semifinal here from London. We'll be back in just a moment. Well, a bit of an elongated halftime as they presented the medals for the Masters division, men's Masters, and the Women's Spirit Award in the Women's Masters division. USA leads Canada 8-4. A quick apology that I am obligated to make. I misstated where Chris Kocher went to college. I knew I had made a mistake as soon as I said it. Of course, Chris Kocher is a proud George Washington alumnus. My apologies to all current, former, and future George Washington Ultimate players. I had several battles with them during my days as a collegiate Ultimate player, and I sincerely apologize for the mistake. I don't know what happened. I will not be happy with myself for weeks because of that error. Anyway, Brian, we moved forward to the second half, and Canada is on defense here, and that's going to have to be the story if Canada has any chance of getting back into this game.
It's hard for them to make adjustments because there's so many different options. I think you have to trust your ability to make plays, throw a little bit of a different look. And it seems just the way things are developing here that the Canadians are playing defense in space, maybe a little bit of a junk to start things off. But finding a way to slow down this American offense is going to be a tough task.
Joy with Karlinski, Helton, Mickle, Marquette, Rasmussen, and Schlackett. Oh, that's a dangerous throw, and it's defended. Jonathan Helton's rising backhand was ill-advised.
He was looking up the line. And no reason to put that throw there. Was a couple of Canadians in the area, and even if that throw is a pretty good one, going into the wind, not a great start.
That's just the third turnover for the U.S. Here's Morgan Hibbert, marked by Mickle. Up the line, Lloyd. Into the end zone and intercepted. Rasmussen steals it back.
This weather has changed rapidly all week, and the breeze has certainly picked up, gusting the highest I think I've seen almost all weekend long. And just when it was hot and sunny at the beginning.
You can see the flags in the distance. And USA gives it up in the end zone. Hibbert quickly checks it in and flips it to Jonathan Martin. The Canadians are not done just yet.
A gritty start here to the second half for the Canadians. They don't like the score 8-4. Jonathan Martin helps get a block early on, and then from there it's fantastic defense, aided by a little bit of wind. Causes the turnover in the end zone. Mickle looking for the around and Joy. And the wind swirling in different directions certainly going to affect this game.
Jonathan Martin was having a spectacular spring on the Ultimate field a year ago, then suffered a foot injury that took him off the field for a while. He also became a father right around a year ago. which has made Ultimate life a little bit more difficult, as many Ultimate players have discovered. We were commenting at halftime as the U.S. Masters team strolled to get its gold medals. There were several young children, future Ultimate stars, most likely, accompanying the gold medalists to the podium. So USA, when that last point started, was basically going in the neutral wind. Then they were going upwind as it picked up. Now this swing line for the US going downwind. Kocher needs a reset, and he was fouled by Hibbert.
Hibbert frustrated because he knows he put the U.S. into a better position. Could have been a high stall situation. Kocher's bailed out.
Hibbert did not contest the call. He was angry with himself more than the call. Stewart marked by Kelly to Kolek. Kocher. Big gainer for Pryal. Stewart.
Different D lines out here for the Canadians.
Oh, and there's Lloyd diving into the leg of Pryal. He got the disc first, certainly. Thankfully, Pryal appears to be all right. We'll take a second look. The throw just a little too far in front of him, and Lloyd was shaken up on the play as well, and he's actually coming off the field while Pryal is remaining out there. And Alex Gesquier is going to make a substitution too. Wait, they had not accounted for the substitution before they checked it in. Rader was replacing DiGirolamo for the United States.
Some confusion still going on the field, and Lloyd just looks to be a little shaken up, playing back-to-back D points, and now Cam Harris is going to come on the field. He's been a player that has always had all the talent in the world, and he often asks the Canadians or Toronto who's the best player. Cam Harris can just do a lot of things that will be spectacular.
Oh, and speaking of unspectacular, Kelly with a poor drop. Kocher, bullet, end zone, touchdown. Nick Stewart for the United States. A crucial hold when it looked like Canada had the momentum.
Lloyd comes out with a great block, and Isaiah Kelly wastes it, unfortunately. Going the other way and into the wind. It's hard to tell what direction it's going in because the flags are all going around at different points of the field, and this is something that you'll see off in the stadiums as we take a look. After the turnover, it gets back to Kocher, and Stewart's wide open in the end zone. Hochhalter comes through to almost make the late D.
So USA leads 9-5. The winner of this semifinal match will take on Japan tomorrow, 4 p.m. local time here in London. It's 11 a.m. on the East Coast of the United States. We will be streaming live from Allianz Park. Looking forward to seeing that facility in person. We've seen pictures. It looks splendid, and it is a turf surface, which is a double-edged sword.
Makes for a very fast game, and we won't see the slipping that we've seen on these fields, which has taken a lot of damage.
Freechild unleashes the pull. USA's defense with Rader, Farrell, White, Conker, Russell Wynn, and Kurt Gibson. And the pull sails out of bounds.
And we really haven't gotten a chance to touch on Gibson's story, which a lot of people in Ultimate know. Came from Florida, played for various club teams, won a championship with double wide, most recently on the Amazing Race with Brody Smith, but also recovered from a serious illness.
He's a cancer survivor, went through chemo, dealing with colon cancer. Obviously a scary moment for him, but he has done the incredible, really, of returning to form from his pre-illness abilities. Which you think about the peak he was at, the valley he fell into by no fault of his own, and then the reascendance. It's a special story. Underhill thought about it. He had Hurst going. Nathan White, such a tough mark. Was joking on the sidelines. If I were handling and I had Nathan White come down the field to mark me, I would just be terrified because his arms just never stop.
It's so great out here to watch the matchup between Farrell and Hurst. Both of them have such quickness. And Underhill has to deal with that mark you just talked about.
A pick as Wynn and Farrell collided. So Wynn a little shaken up. There's Nathan White.
One of the things of the staples here of this Toronto-based Canadian team, Toronto ending up beating Furious George for the first time at Canadian Nationals to get the right to be the main representative here at Worlds, is they love the break side. And USA has done a good job here of protecting that more so than other teams.
Loiseau did not have Harris deep. Wynn was staying stride for stride. And then Harris was free in part because of the pick set by Loiseau. Matt Rader imploring his sidelines to have more energy. It's a critical moment of this game. It's either 9-6 or 10-5 after this point. Saying. Ochterlony fumbles it away. Gibson, Freechild. Gibson. To conquer. USA looking strong again. That's a break.
Ochterlony with the mistake, and immediately Americans attack downfield. Freechild and Gibson. Such a fun duo to watch, and you won't get to see that often. Take a look here. Ochterlony comes in this pass a little bit behind him, trips on his own feet, and after that can't secure the grab. From there, Freechild and Gibson go to work. And with a little bit of confusion, Conker comes bowling in. Ochterlony falling down, leaving Conker unmarked.
The United States has made it look easy so often. They beat Mexico 15-2, Singapore 15-4, and then that was it for pool play. Power pools began. USA versus the Czech Republic 15-1. USA versus South Africa 15-4. Then that power pool crossover with Australia, or that was the final power pool game with the Dingoes, and it was a 5-5 game. Little adversity for the United States, a spectacular greatest early in that game from Aussie Mike Neild. But USA would storm away a 10-3 rally to win it 15-8. 15-12 over Japan in the battle for seeding in the championship bracket. USA led 14-8 before the Japanese scored 4 straight in the second half to close within 2. USA did, of course, close it out, and then 15-2 over the Colombians in the quarters. Good to see Mark Lloyd back out there, and Kelly was looking for him. Lloyd leaps and tumbles to make the catch. And Brian Jones, you've said that you don't think Lloyd is quite 100% back from his ACL injury. You've seen him reach for the knee a few times. That sails past everyone. A critical mistake there, but we see just a small example of what Lloyd is capable of athletically.
It's so scary that he's not even 100% yet. It's, you know, he's somebody who's a rival for me personally as a coach, but I'm sincerely glad to see him back in action because he just makes the game better.
Kolick shoots it too high for Pryl. That's USA's 4th turnover so far in the second half. And the bad news for Canada is that they're still down by 5. Here's Loiseau finding Lloyd to the open side cone. So Canada makes it 10-6, but still a very steep hill to climb for the Canadians. And Mark Lloyd.
Lloyd has been doing just about everything he can, whether it's scoring the goal, throwing the assist, or getting the block. And here he's just going to beat him to the cone. Great break throw, sets up the continuation for Loiseau.
Mark Lloyd started playing Ultimate when he was a young lad. He was very short growing up. Could not really compete with some of the taller kids. So he learned how to be quick and shifty like a handler. And then late in his high school career, he suddenly started to grow and now sits at 6'2". And he has developed the hops to make himself certainly a certifiably strong, deep target. Morgan Hibbert, a big bending backhand pull. USA's offense returns, led by Ashlyn Joy.
Zone here from the Canadians, a 3-3-1. Trying to gunk up the middle of the field. Force some swings from the United States.
Karlinski. Not totally sure how he does it, but Joy always seems to be able to get open on a reset. As good as anyone in that department.
Joy actually starting his career as a defensive player and had incredible speed to get the blocks. Transferred over to a handler, and you don't see him display it too often, but if you try to force him up line, he will burn you.
Oh, undercutting play, and Marquette called a foul on Martin. Scary collision. Good to see Marquette pop back up and Martin as well. Let's take a look. Whew.
Martin, I think, just a little unsure. He's such a fierce competitor and somebody that really came onto the scene only a couple years ago, but he just works. He has the athleticism to make some big contributions for any team he's on.
Martin often leads Canada through its warm-up paces, kind of the guy to get the team going. And from a strength and conditioning standpoint, he's one of the best. Sneaking the throw to Helton. Lefty to Marquette. They have to respect that, Scuber.
Tried to pivot. And my foot got taken. Oh, 8 to 5. I can't pivot. 1, 3, 2, 1.
Could have been a number of things. Marquette will keep the disc.
Marking foul called there against Lamb, and some argument of whether or not there was contact on the play.
Mickle shakes free of Martin. A lot of traffic in the end zone. This is where it's really important to trust each other, and USA takes its time and threads the needle. Jimmy Mickle the score. Brian, you can get the sense in that situation where everyone in the end zone said, well, I can get open. in that small space, so why can't I just take charge? But when everybody's taking charge in ultimate, that can be a problem.
And I think everybody wanted the disc in their hands. Marquette's so dangerous, and here Mickle trying to force it in. He's known for the big breaks, but here Karlinski, and look at the release point here, just able to fit it in such a tight window.
Well, Jimmy Mickle has been a very fine ultimate player for quite a while, but I think he would certainly credit his recent season of training alongside Bo Kittredge and Cassidy Rasmussen as helping to take him to another level. Mickle, one of the leaders of the Dallas Roughnecks, an undefeated franchise right now so far in the American Ultimate Disc League. Several players on this Canadian team, members of the Toronto Rush, could meet 5 members of Team USA at championship weekend in Madison, Wisconsin in early August. Should be another great ultimate convention. Hurst soaring, could not secure the disc to try for the greatest. And circumstances crumbling now for Canada. It'll be Gibson. Freechild makes the move. It's that easy.
Hurst is one of the quicker players on the field, but Dylan Freechild absolutely dusts him here. If you ever want to go out and watch some ultimate highlights, Freechild's Callahan is fun to watch. Showcasing all of these moves, some of the best footwork in the game, best foot speed there is out there currently.
Certainly this tournament means a lot for Dylan Freechild, who has been in the spotlight for several years. He won the Callahan as a third-year player at the University of Oregon in 2013. His team was often favored to win it all. He never could climb to the top of the mountain, in part because of the exploits of some of his USA teammates like Tyler DiGirolamo and Jimmy Mickle. And he certainly wants to be a part of a winner, and he's contributing to it. How have you seen Freechild evolve as a player over these past few years?
I think for him, he came in so good that it was, first he was the guy known for the layout block, and from there offensively his game has continued to grow. He always had the give and go moves, but he brought them to a new level through his years in Oregon.
And he joined Jimmy Mickle and Bo Kittredge in Dallas, Texas, training with that group. They said from the very start the U.S. national team would be the priority. Here's Sang shooting it for McKnight. Too much. The Canadians kind of looking at each other right now with a level of wonderment. Almost as if to say, why isn't this working?
I think anytime you get Thompson McKnight going deep, that's a win. He's normally known for his great throws, and he's impressed me in this game with his athleticism, has been forced to move around. That shot from Sang too far.
Doy to Sefton. Pryl breaks free of Underhill. Canada has the United States trapped. What do you see from the U.S. formation here? Looks like they're angling their stack, although now they're resetting to return to the position at the time of the pick.
I think they have been running just a pretty standard vert stack offense. Here, a lot of the players ended up pretty deep, trying to stretch the field, even though it's pretty windy out. I think everybody here wants a piece of the goal-scoring tallies. You have Nick Stewart, Peter Pryl, and DiGirolamo downfield, who, all in their own right, are great deep cutters.
Stewart takes the under to Doy. Kocher with a one-handed stab. And then he put it too far ahead of Pryl.
Pretty old ultimate adage, conservation of greatness. Kocher with the great grab and then turns it going to the end zone. It's hard though when you have Peter Pryl going deep.
5th turnover of the half for USA. Canada has only had 1 point though in the second half that they have failed to turn it over. And that was when they didn't touch the disc. Anytime Canada has had possession of the disc this half, they've turned it over at least once. Looking for Harris, just past his grasp. He made that catch yesterday, but today is a very different circumstance. That would have been a spectacular catch. I think most on the sidelines and in the stands probably surprised Cam didn't make it because we've all seen him do that before.
Come on, tough the under, Tim. Let's go. Force him out, Tim.
Lloyd chasing DiGirolamo downfield. And you could hear the coach yelling, "Burn it," from the sidelines. So Kocher takes the timeout. USA leading 12-6 with possession. The Japanese looking on, possibly awaiting a winner. Third member of our broadcast crew is Megan Molteni. Let's quickly check in with Megan down on the field.
Yeah, so listening in with each teams during their halftime, they had really different messages. Canada was all about the intangibles, about the energy, about their focus. We did see them make that defensive adjustment into that poachier zone set, but it was all about how do we bring the energy both on the sidelines and on the field. I think they've been less successful at that than the Americans have been at their adjustments, what they talked about in their circle, with two things: dealing with Canada's poaches by finishing their cuts all the way to the sideline. We hear Matt Rader, Jimmy Mickle yelling from the sideline, "Finish your cuts, finish your cuts." They're starting to get into that rhythm now. I think they're doing a really nice job with that. So kind of a story of two teams having two halftime talks and one team executing on that and the other one just not getting it done.
Megan, what have you seen from the Canadian body language on the sidelines during the second half? Have they played with great energy from the sidelines?
I think they did right out of the half. They came out and started with a break, and everyone rushed the field, and they were all about it. But then there were just a few unforced errors, and I think that brought the energy right back down. U.S. went up, countered with two breaks to their one, and yeah, pretty quiet down here for the men in white.
That's going to have to change. Thanks so much, Megan. Tom Doy back to Kocher. Kolek up the line, well placed from Kocher. DiGirolamo clears. Oh, Lloyd just missed the bid. Saying an alert switch to get a mark on immediately.
Some pretty poor spacing from the U.S. trying to work it here with a couple of players around the disc.
Sefton looks to Doy. Got it. Tom Doy with his 11th goal on the weekend. Observers, rather game advisors, late to signal, but Doy thought he was in. No argument from Canada. Only Schlockett had more goals than Doy this week in London for the USA.
Doy, a great continuation cutter in his own right, and that coming out of East Coast tryouts, he was the player that made the right cut at the right time, the right throw to the right spot. Sefton with a lot of trust, putting it to the back corner of the end zone.
Well, it feels like only a matter of time right now. USA and Japan could meet tomorrow in what would be a rematch of what we saw a couple days ago. A game that Japan certainly displayed some gamesmanship, did not go 100%, and Masahiro Matsuno, one of their superstars, did not play. 33 years old, perhaps dealing with some nagging issues. Canada taking a timeout, and let's go in the huddle.
This is what we're here for. Big test, right? Make ourselves look good. Let's do it.
Let's go! Come on! Who wants it? Let's go, Canada! Let's go!
See some eyes?
One at a time.
Get TC on three. 1, 2, 3.
TC!
Let's go. Good. Our chance to finish strong. This might be your last chance at D. Let's make it count. Out of this 2-3, let's stay nice and soft. The soft places we're giving them are the sides and the flats. All right, let's let them sit out of that junk 2 or 3, and then really get hard on it. Going upwind, I'd like us to be no inside on almost all of our marks. So stay flat, watch these inside flick pucks. Let's let them go back and surround.
Because we're getting out so quickly, we can be keyed in on who we're transitioning to. So know that at 1, 2, and 3. Are we keyed in on which guy you're going to be coming to? Are we no IO downfield on the 10? Or after we're out?
Yeah. And actually, yeah. Now that you say that, let's go back to our no IO defense, which is to say the marks are shading no around. Okay. Good.
Okay.
When
Good.
at half field?
Yeah. No, out of the we're 4. 2, 3, 2 for 4. Good. All right. Feel great about it, fellas.
It's an interesting juxtaposition. At one end, you have Canada just trying to get fired up. On the other end, Alex Guesquier still tweaking in search of perfection.
That's why he's known as one of the best in the business, if not the best. Did a great job while coaching Revolver. Also a great job with Scandal as well.
Don't forget Team USA and Cali, Colombia at the World Games in 2013.
He does a great job of breaking down things into concrete instructions, and that's all the feedback you receive from his players. He's not very temperamental. Tells you your role, tells you how you're going to do it, and how it's going to impact the team.
Freechild racing down on the pole to deny the first throw, and USA forcing Canada to start about 15 yards deep in the end zone.
Team USA transitions out of it just like we heard out of the huddle.
It looked like there was a call, and Harris had stopped, and Loiseau threw it. In a USAU game, that might have been a turnover.
Players getting used to the whiff-diff rules here.
USA downfield has done a fantastic job of respecting the Canadian deep cuts. They've been step for step with Kelly and Harris and Ochterlony and Galitz and Loiseau when they've tried to go long all throughout the game. And Canada, which loves to take that shot, really haven't had too many open looks. This could be one, but Underhill holsters and goes to Galitz on the slash.
I think there was still some debate of whether it was better to send an all-star team that wouldn't have as much chemistry rather than the club team for Team USA. And you'd see here in the result, it is a different Canadian team as well, but that game was 16-15 in Sakai, and right now it's 13-6.
Well, there's a good throw, the dump swing offense, Ochterlony finding Underhill.
Canadians do a good job of switching the field, moving it around, and then finally putting it into the hands of Underhill. The handler out of Vancouver has played there for several years, led a U23 team in Toronto, and we take a look here. Galitz finds Ochterlony. And after that, Underhill, so versatile, can come be a center handler, and when he gets the mismatch, he can go downfield. Certainly one of my favorite players to watch.
So Team Canada will need an epic string of breaks to make this interesting down the stretch. The parade of flags at the opening ceremony on Sunday here in London. And the tournament will climax tomorrow at Allianz Park. The mixed championship game at 11 a.m. featuring the United States and Australia. At 1:30, the women's championship match Colombia will try to knock off the USA. Here's Mickle looking long. Helton wide open. 14-7.
Miscommunication by the Canadian defense. We've seen Jonathan Goose Helton burn players deep even when double covered. This time you leave him wide open, and it's just a matter of time for Mickle, who's got the big frame, the ability to unfurl the huck deep. Just a step out, and he lets it rip. There's no reason to really care as long as he gets to the back of the end zone. You have Remy Ojo giving chase, and he's had a quiet weekend, almost certainly due to injury, because he's in his own right a great highlight reel defender.
Jimmy Mickle brings a level of power to his throws that you don't see too often. And in a situation like that, he had to throw it both with power and with touch, and finding the balance with a tight rotation to give Helton plenty of time to track it down. I think that's a tool that Mickle has always had in his bag. Stewart pulls. A break would win it for the United States. Certainly, when these two teams met at the TEP final in Colombia, it was a one-goal game. Canada was a little bit better that day. US has certainly improved since then.
Assistant coach Ben Van Hoevelen, got a chance to talk to him, and he said he took a look at the tape from TEB and was trying to figure out some great offensive points to show the squad of how he wanted them to play, and said he couldn't find any.
We'll have plenty from today. USA will go back to studying the Japanese and their mysterious system that you hardly ever see in North America. Their quick handler movement, their half-field, cross-field, blading hucks, and of course their zone defense, which can really force you to be patient. But that's for tomorrow. Today, USA will try to close this out. Hurst gets it to Messick Kelly. USA matching up defensively. Underhill was free until Stewart set the mark. Pick called downfield. You can see Alan Kolick poaching into the lane.
You need two players to defend against the Canadian break side offense. They're too talented of throwers to make any difference by just a simple mark.
Well, he beat the mark of Doy there. So Canada makes it 14-8. The USA offense will return to the field.
Underhill with his second consecutive goal.
Certainly a San Francisco revolver flavor to this line. The offense for USA with 4 Bay Area stars. Mickle from the Rocky Mountains. Marquette from Atlanta originally, now in Massachusetts. And well, Jonathan Helton grew up in Florida. Went to Wheaton College in Illinois. Has played for Chicago Machine, where he plans to return this year. Playing a professional year in Washington, D.C. for Alex Gesquier, the head coach. That pull will not come back. Understand there was some chatter on Twitter about what the universe point line for USA might be. I'm not sure we're going to get a chance to see it, although Japan tomorrow could give the USA a test like they haven't experienced yet. Joy breaks the mark of Lloyd. Shimmies his way free for the dump. Rasmussen. Vasiliev has had a quiet game. And I think there was a travel called on Rasmussen as the scoober went to the end zone for Kittredge, but it's going to come back. How about that throw?
Jonathan Helton trying to get into the Scoober Huck game. The primary throw choice of Matt Bennett, which has been seen in highlights in the pro leagues, sending a couple of...
He was holding back and he went and threw it. Like I was marked here, and then all of a sudden he throws over here. Yeah, it didn't look Okay. Okay. What's the score count? 0. Okay. Yeah.
Lots of intensity and fire between those two, Vasiliev and Rasmussen. Marquette. Joy. Kittredge on the under. To Mickle. Crossfield, Rasmussen is there. USA has vanquished Canada. 15-8. It'll be USA and Japan for a world championship tomorrow here in London.
With exception of a few mistakes and a couple of great plays by Mark Lloyd, US had quite the game, ready to come out. We thought there might be a challenge, so we take a look at the final goal. Helton seals the deal. He threw the scooper earlier, but due to the travel call, and this one's going to stand. We thought the U.S. might dominate, but still an incredibly impressive victory.
It was a clinic. And USA was far from perfect. 7 turnovers in the game, 5 of which came after halftime, but for Canada, too many mistakes. 12 turnovers for the Canadians. They will play for bronze against Australia at 9 a.m. USA can sleep in and game plan for Masahiro Matsuno, Corona, Ichikawa, and the rest of the very dangerous squad from the Far East.
There's a team that has a chance of surprising the U.S. with something new, something we haven't seen before. It could be Japan. They have a different type of offense. Still, the U.S. will be the favorite going into that. Both teams will gather here for the Spirit Circle, and we'll see if we can get an interview from down the field.
USA and Canada coming together. Alex Dutchy-Gasquier out of Dartmouth. Megan Molteni is down with the head coach of Team USA.
Alex, so awesome game out there. What did you guys talk about going into this game? What was going to be the biggest thing for you? Was it tactical? Was it energy? What were you looking for in your team?
Yes. We really wanted to hit our tactical goals. We wanted to stop their flow, especially their break side offense. We wanted to play positionally against some of their best cutters, and I think we succeeded at that. And we also wanted to go in making sure we weren't going to get out intensitied. And I think we hit that goal as well.
You had some great production from players like Kurt Gibson, Jimmy Mickle, big players that you can go to and rely on, but it seemed like there were a lot of other players getting involved. Who are kind of the unsung heroes of this game for Team USA?
I think that we are really 24 people deep. I think John Stubbs made a couple of great plays and a huge upwind hook that gave us a lot of momentum. I think we clear and cut for each other really well. I'd say that this was a 24-person effort.
And was this the game you were expecting to see from Canada, or did you just kind of make this happen with both tactical adjustments and bringing that energy from point one?
Yeah, this was a strong game from Canada. I think that the United States players were just had the edge that we needed. I think that despite the 15-8 score, I think Canada really challenged us the whole way, and I felt that this was really tight and solidly played.
So obviously you're going to see a really different type of opponent in Japan tomorrow. Without giving anything away, what are you guys going to talk about tonight to prep for that?
We're going to have to come up with something special because that offense and those players are very good and they play a unique game. I think this will be by far the strongest challenge for us for the tournament, and I'm looking forward to see it.
Awesome. Well, congratulations to you and your team. We'll see you out here tomorrow.
Thanks very much. See you then.
Megan Dutchie, thank you. If we can, let's go into the U.S.-Canada post-game spirit circle.
Thank you very much for the game today.
Let's play hockey in Canada. So you guys might have known this. So we're going to spirit thing. This is for someone who I thought brought defensive pressure on our team and gave us a fucking, he was a pain in the ass all game for our O-line. So BJ.
Alright. We'll do the thing.
So the final score, USA 15, Canada 8. Huge day at Allianz Park tomorrow in London as WUGC 2016 will climax with Championship Saturday. The mixed final at 11 a.m. local time, the women's at 1:30, and then the men's will cap it off, USA and Japan at 4 p.m. here in London. For our entire crew at the Watford Football Grounds in St. Albans, we say so long, and we thank you for being with us. This has been a production of the World Flying Disc Federation, presented to you by VC Ultimate, by Eric, by USA Ultimate, by Discraft, by WIFDIF, and by viewers like you. We appreciate all the support from all around the world. For Brian Jones, this is Evan Lepler. We'll see you tomorrow for the championship matches.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.